G'day all, welcome back to the channel. We're back on the internet together again. Today we're talking Melbourne's machete crime and crime in general. It's pretty bad. That's going to be the first half of the show today. Then we'll have a quick rant about the property market and also farmers getting steamrolled with this whole net zero plan. Let's jump straight into it.
Armed thugs are on the run after a terrifying machete melee at a shopping centre in the city's north. The violence broke out around the corner from one of the government's new amnesty bins. Crime reporter Gillian Lantouris.
Oh, so they didn't go put their machetes in the bin on the way there in an orderly, lined-up fashion. This stuff isn't going to stop.
Friday night at the shops takes a terrifying turn. Machetes swinging, families running as rival gangs clash at Broadmeadows Central.
We've seen the two kids just out of nowhere, they started arguing and then bang, they just pulled out the machetes.
Staff members ushered customers into stores and closed their shutters, while chairs were thrown and jewellery displays ruined.
It's like a movie, like Gladiator.
Anyone could have got hurt and there was children around, they were scared.
One elderly woman reportedly collapsed from shock as the two groups clashed.
Oh my God!
The fight began in the car park before spilling into the centre around 7:30.
Good old Broady. It hasn't been the most safest place in Melbourne. It just takes it all to a new level. But as I said, these kids, they don't give a shit. Just pull a machete out. Whatever happened to just having a punch up in the car park, throw a couple of fists, someone cops a couple of punches to the head, a fray over, move on, go on your way. No one's getting their arm cut off, the leg cut off. I don't understand this. I don't understand how you could think in your mind, you know what? I don't like this other kid. You know what I'll do? I'm just going to produce a machete and hit him with it. I'm going to chop him. I'm going to hack him up. It takes someone with serious mental health issue to do that, but it seems like this is the norm. People say, oh no, G-man, you're cherry picking. There is a story like this every week, if not multiple. This has been going on. This has been in the news for a good couple of years. Every second week, there's some shopping centre and there's people running around swinging these machetes at each other. You know what we need to do? We need to put all these kids on a boat, a barge, just set it off to drift into the ocean, no food on it, nothing, and just let nature do its work. Because what's going to happen here, they'll get these kids, they'll arrest them, and they'll just release them straight away, bang. That was like just recently when they had those two African children were, who might have been gang affiliated or they annoyed a gang or something like that on the internet, and then, 6 dudes from like 16 to 20 years old went and chopped up these poor little boys who are, 12 or 15 years old. Well, the world is absolutely nuts, but some of those people were arrested only a couple of months before doing similar things to this in the shopping centres. Just have a think about it. We're living in the third world now. Over in Africa, they got no issue walking around with a machete, swinging it around, hitting someone with it. No problem. That's just like stock standard conflict resolution. Call me racist all you want. It's true. The video footage speaks for itself. Anyway, let's watch it out. Let's watch the rest of this one out.
Groups escaped in a silver Honda and a white Mazda before police arrived. It's yet another terrifying incident with locals.
That's racist, G-man.
On edge.
The last time that they had an attack, it was school holidays. So, yeah, it's very, very scary. But, you just walk down the street and there's a machete attack in front of you. It's a bit scary.
Management says we do not tolerate criminal or antisocial behaviour in our centres and are committed to supporting Victoria Police in their investigation. This machete...
We don't tolerate machete violence. Who does? What a stupid statement. Well, how are these going for your taxpayers? What do we pay on these? What, $13 million for 40 bins at $300,000 a pop? Biggest rort in history. I wonder how many machetes have gone in there. I wonder if they'll ever give us the tally, the information. Are they working? Probably not.
bin is just a 500-metre walk from the shopping centre. This latest attack has brought into question whether the government's amnesty is really working.
Do we have to see someone die in a shopping centre to ensure that we can get the policies and the legislative changes we need to keep Victorians safe?
Gillian Lantour.
I mean, if these guys wipe each other out, that's fine. That's nature taking its course. But yeah, if innocent people are getting caught up in it, bystanders, which they are, like what, the old lady passed out of pure shock, wouldn't even comprehend probably when she was younger seeing the stuff happening here in Melbourne. Now you got these dudes running around with machetes hitting each other in the supermarket on a Friday night. What the hell? All right, let's move on to the next one. More crime. This one just came out. This is about a day old.
4 o'clock this morning, 5 teens bail out of a stolen Mercedes. 3 hide behind trees, but they can't escape the eyes in the sky. The air wing tracking the group through multiple southeast and eastern suburbs. All 5 have been charged with multiple offences. 3 are already back in the community.
We are seeing that the tough new bail laws are making a difference.
In a separate incident yesterday afternoon, armed teens ran rampant at a school pickup, plunging Greenvale Secondary College into lockdown. The group allegedly threatened a student with a machete in an attempt to steal his phone. It comes as youth crime.
Look at this shit. Nah, G-Man, you're a racist. I had people tell me I'm toxic. I'm literally talking about footage that is right there. Look at this, completely overrunning society, not caring about any rules at all, just doing what they want. And I said, I don't care if they're born here. Still deport them. Nothing else is working.
In Victoria reaches an all-time high. Last week, the bail bench book used by Victorian magistrates and judges was updated to ensure when bail is considered, community safety is a priority. But the guidelines still instruct the courts to impose minimum intervention on accused youth offenders, stating a child should, quote, be released on bail with conditions whenever possible.
I've got nothing.
They're not a child. Think about it. A child is a little kid playing Pokemon on his Game Boy or whatever it is. I'm showing my age here. He's playing Pokemon on his Nintendo Switch. And he's, a little kid at home. He's not running around with machetes hitting people and robbing 7-Eleven. A bit of a difference here. They start doing shit like that, throw the full book at them. Launch that book into them. They're not a kid anymore. You're doing stuff like that.
Thing to add to the justice changes today, but we'll continue to work with Victoria Police, listen to victims of crime.
When is Jacinta Allen going to admit that the only way to fix this is that you ensure you have sentences that match community expectation?
Geordie Wright, 7 News.
Well, we just stop mass importing people from third world countries who don't give a shit about the laws. People say, oh, no, we can't see where they're from or whatever. I'm pretty sure they're going to be kids who aren't from Australia, long-term Australian heritages. I can tell you that now. I've never seen nothing like this. When I was growing up, even 25 years ago, when I was at school and high school, showing my age here, you never heard about nothing like that. You'd hear maybe about a group of kids would meet up in a park after school, you'd have a punch on and then move on. That's it. A bit of a wrestle to the ground, one kid gets a punch in the mouth, starts crying, end of the day. Now you got kids turning up at schools with knives trying to rob other kids. This has become just about desensitised to it. Oh, it's all right. Migration's still high anyway, so we'll have more of this in the future. It'll just get worse. All right. This was an interesting story. Escaped mental patient. Some good Samaritans took this dude down. This is just a few days ago as well.
Good evening. Two brave Melbourne men have ended a crazed crime spree in Carlton, taking down an escaped mental patient armed with a hammer. The Good Samaritans say he was attacking innocent bystanders and stealing their phones, so they had to step in before someone got hurt.
Armed with a hammer, an escaped psychiatric patient on a violent rampage. Another driver reverses in fear as the wanted 28-year-old strolls down the street. We can reveal he was a patient at Thomas Embling Hospital who escaped authorities on Sunday while on day release at Northland Shopping Centre. But Tim Barlow and Tom...
Why are they letting him out on day release at Northland? That goes to show you, like, well, this guy's a dangerous mental patient. He's running around with a hammer. Oh, yeah, let's just take him down to Northland for a day out. What could go wrong? So Northland, for those of you who are not from Australia, is a large shopping mall, I guess you would call it.
Jones Davies had no idea.
We're just trying to get the hammer out of his hand to get the guy to stop fighting back.
Tom is a chef. He grabbed a meat tenderizer when he saw the hammer-wielding man running outside his restaurant.
Legend. It was the first thing I saw. I didn't actually think of it. I ran in. I was like, what can I grab? I didn't want to grab a knife. So I thought, all right, that'll do. You know, hammer for hammer.
The pair chased the escapee through Carlton, then down Elgin Street, where things escalated as the wanted man tried to steal a woman's bike. She screamed. That's when the boys step in, performing a citizen's arrest.
He's still swinging about. I grabbed his arm, put the knee behind the elbow so he couldn't move it, and then he dropped it, and then sort of...
Fuck, that guy deserves the mental patient guy. Left, right, good night. Just double tap, bang, bang, boom. Well, they say three fucking hits. Left, right, then you hitting the ground. Fuck, it's good on these guys. Like, you got to think about how many people would do that if put into that situation. So it goes to show you that there are some... You know, this is toxic masculinity, guys. Toxic masculinity. Yeah, men stepping in and putting their bodies and physical health on the line to help complete strangers. Good on you, lads.
Gave up. Kept struggling a bit, but at that point there was four of us holding him down. He wasn't going anywhere.
Bringing the 28-year-old back into custody, ending 48 hours of chaos on the run.
I didn't want to catch the hammer to the head, that's for sure.
Despite the danger, both Tim and Tom say they never gave a second thought to making the citizen's arrest. The ordeal has now turned two strangers into a pair of mates.
You never know what you're going to do until it happens, and I just felt like I had to do something.
And now I feel a bit like Batman putting people back into Arkham Asylum, you know?
Stepping in when the city needed them most.
Yeah, the boys. Good on you, fellas. Yeah, as I said, toxic masculinity at its best. All right. So halfway through, if you're enjoying the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Like, comment, share, press that hype button. It does help me if you do know where that is. And if you want to contact me or support the channel further, there are ways to do so in the video description or the pinned comment. All right, we're on property now. We're going to cop a rant on that from me. Love a good rant on property. This is called Why You'll Never Afford a House in Australia.
Australia's housing crisis isn't just bad. It's a looming national disaster. And our politicians keep making it worse.
The security and stability that comes with a roof over your head is essential.
This isn't just about housing. It's about the collapse of a promise that if you work hard and play by the rules, one day you too can own your own home. For young Australians, many of them, this is becoming very unlikely.
Very unlikely. It's more or less a certainty unless you're having family help or you stay at home till you're 35 saving every cent that you earn. If you have that ability to do so in the relationship with your family, not everyone has that. That's the only way you're doing it. You stay at home, your girlfriend or, you know, if you're a girl, your boyfriend stays at home. You just crank the savings until you're basically middle-aged and then maybe you can own a house and then be a debt slave for another 30 years. It's a great promise. You know, social contract absolutely broken here in this country. Because it's true, you got to think about this. Well, what would most people expect if, as he said, you play by the rules, you be a good social citizen in the community, good corporate citizen. You know, you're going to work every day. You're paying your taxes. You're working full time. You're contributing to the economy. You would think that also you'll be able to earn enough money, and also put a blame back on some people. They're not good with their money, but earn enough money that if you're good with it and smart with it, that you should have the opportunity, after saving for a number of years, to have a deposit for entry level home. You would think that would be fair, and that's what's happened over the last few decades. Not anymore. Not anymore. I feel really bad for these, for people who are still looking to get in of any age, but for people, young kids now who are going through the school system, they're coming into an environment where, unless they're making mega bucks, and there are people out there that do, but unless you are, you know, you're going to find it pretty tough to have the Australian dream, so to speak. And that's the vast majority of people aren't making mega bucks. You know, say 95% of people aren't making enough that they'll be able to save up for a deposit in 5 years or something like that. I know people who are white-collared couples earning really great money. They're struggling to save up, you know, pay rent and also save up, you know, $300,000 or $200,000 to buy a house. And then the stamp duty on top of that, the transaction costs on top of that, plus a bit of a buffer. You're looking $350K, probably for a $1 million home, which used to sound like if you had a $1 million home, you made it. $1 million, you are minted. That is your standard dwelling. 45 kilometres out from, say, if I talk about Melbourne, the CBD. You might be lucky to get something in the 9s, 8s, maybe a bit smaller, a townhouse, something like that. But $1 million is probably just about, that's just about standard. Pretty cooked.
Here, Marko Matvikov nailed it online. He talked about people in their 50s and 60s who've bought homes, raised families, and even paid off investment properties on a single income. Then he compared them with today's generation buried in student debt, working longer, earning more, yet still unable to buy. That's the story of modern Australia.
The numbers are brutal. The average home now costs 8 times the average income. And for anyone who buys a home now, young Australians, they're in a situation where half of what they earn goes directly to the bank via their mortgage payments.
Even renting offers no escape. Around 1/3 of incomes go to rent, and vacancy rates are stuck at 1%. Finding a place to live is a battle. Sydney is now the second least affordable city right across the world, only behind Hong Kong. Melbourne, Brisbane and Adelaide are all regarded as severely unaffordable. That's not bad luck, it's system failure. Politicians roll out new schemes.
New schemes, you're going to talk the 5%, you know, I've talked about it, but I'll go again, right? I love having a rant, but what does giving more people the ability to have a lesser deposit who may have the cash flow to support borrowing going to do? It's going to drive property prices up because people can get into the market quicker. More people, more competition, property prices up. That's it. FOMO, people are going to run because this is going to be seen as a last chance, and it just about is for people. But you watch, you know, when this really takes hold and the effects of all those people running to get in flow through the system, you're probably going to have prices up 50, 100 grand at the entry level. Doesn't have to be the entry level. Because there are a lot of people out there who make really good cash flow. They have good high-earning jobs. They might not be in a position to save up $300,000. They've got rent, they might have families and they're renting. Cost of living through the roof. I went down to Woolworths the other day. Everything's gone up by 50 cents again. I shit you not, guys. Take a little mental note. Just a few products. Even put it in your phone, in the notes section, and say, I don't know, cat food, meat. You know, pick something, put it in there. You watch it slowly tick up. Apparently, we've won the war against inflation. And inflation is within the band. Well, no one's telling Woolworths and Coles that because the prices are still inching up. A bread up 20 cents here and there. It just doesn't stop. So people don't get any reprieve because all their earnings, regardless of what you're earning, are being eroded away. So what I'm trying to say here is you have some people who earn really good money, but they're not able to save the money. And you got people who aren't earning good money, well, it doesn't really help them because they're not going to be able to get a loan anyway because they're probably not going to be able to, meet the serviceability criteria of borrowing that debt. But just think about what the configuration is going to be. So you're going to get young couples who are going to team up. So they'll use both incomes to go and buy property. There'll be more people doing that without thinking about the risks of doing that, rushing in, we've been together a year, let's buy a house together, let's save money on rent. Anyway, I won't get onto that topic. Good old Elbow, he's going to make housing more affordable for everyone.
But most just feed.
What's with this too? This gives me the shits. Doesn't matter who it is, someone's got to stand there and nod. Good old professional nodders.
The problem.
I feel completely sorry for the generation. It was much easier. It's definitely a lot harder. I didn't even know what sort of advice to give people.
Yeah, I've got no advice for that.
Take the government's new first homeowners deposit scheme, for example. Even the Prime Minister admits that it's likely to push house prices up. Why is that? Because it doesn't add a single new home into the supply side of the issue. All it does is fuel demand.
The Reserve Bank says the same thing. It's demand-side sugar, when the real problem is a lack of supply. Meanwhile, building approvals keep...
Oh, G-Man, you racist. You keep talking about immigration, and immigration has no effect. It has no effect on housing prices. You're joking, right? I hear every video I'll get some email about it. What are you talking about? More people, more houses required. That's it. It's simple mathematics. And not keeping up with the current population level, stock levels for property. Let's just bring in another 500,000 a year across the country. Yeah, no worries. They're not making an extra 500,000 houses on top, are they? Or 300,000, depending on the configuration of the people coming in. They're not. Pisses me off. It's the worst argument ever. As I said, I'm a bit ranty today.
Sliding, down 6% in August, with apartments falling the fastest.
Let's be clear, it's not a housing problem we've got, it's a construction problem we've got. Right now, to actually build something, it's costing you about 40 to 50% more than a couple of years ago. The delays are roughly 40%. So the truth is, there's no developer that is going to pull their finger out and sign a contract at the moment. Land value and resale doesn't stack up, and when you take into account that developers themselves are finding it extremely hard to actually find tradespeople. I mean, let me give you something to ponder on. A bricklayer, mate, none of these are working for builders anymore, or any tradespeople really. They go out and work for themselves.
The government's promise of 1.2 million new homes by 2029, well, that's just pure fantasy. For young Australians, they're absolutely starting their working lives, behind the 8 ball.
Do you have any advice for young people looking to buy a home currently?
Always have a side hustle that's generally cash, or be in a business where you're not capped by your salary, so you get earn bonuses, there's capacity to earn more money within the job. Don't ever settle for a salary job.
I suppose you should save when you have a
Just earn more money, guys. Easy as that. Don't have a job that's capped. Okay, love to find one of those. Even sales commission jobs, they're capped. They don't want to pay you too much. They'll give you a little bit of a sugar hit if you can go out and grind and hit the concrete, so to speak, and go out and bring some sales in or do whatever it is. But they're not going to give you unlimited money. And then, so what's the culture now? People need to do cashies on the side, and flaunt the tax laws. just to have some money. You know what? This is my view. If people have a side hustle, a second job, it shouldn't be taxed. The government has screwed this joint up so bad that people now have to do second jobs to try and feel like they're getting ahead. And then what? They get taxed at, their marginal rate. On top of that, they shouldn't be taxed for a second job. But no, you can't do that because the government loves their tax. You got to biggest criminals of all and take a minimum of 30% of your money out of your hand, depending on what you earn. Say if you're a high income earner, you're paying 45% of any dollar over 190k. So if you go out and you're doing really well, and you know what, you go, I want to go and do a side hustle. That's all right. Good old Mr. Government man will have their hand straight out. Any more money.
Property, it makes a big difference when you get a bit older. Now that I'm retired, I don't have to pay rent or anything like that, so rent is just waste. You're better off buying a property and paying that amount to eventually own it.
They leave university with $50,000 in debt.
Yeah, just buy a house. That's that's good advice. People can't save up the money. We're not earning enough. All right, so it's a cost of living combined by a lack of wage growth, combined with running away property prices, plus on top of that, all the taxes and bullshit involved. The government's got their hand in everyone who owns a property's pocket. And don't get me started on property investors. The government bends them over, but, the population loves that because they don't like landlords, so those are easy targets. The government loves it. They love property market stamp duty. Think about that. So say the average property is $1 million. You got people buying apartments and things for, say, 500, 600 little units. Okay, but say even on $500,000, which would be a very cheap purchase these days, the government gets 25 grand, 30 grand for nothing. Nothing. Now let's talk $1 million. That's about $65,000, 5.5%, 55%, $55,000. Have a think about that. Oh, but if we take stamp duty away, then the property market will go up even more. That's the argument.
And wages are barely rising. Any interest they earn saving for a deposit is taxed at their highest marginal rate. On an average salary of just over $100,000, you'll fork out around $1,000 a week in mortgage repayments. That's before bills or rates. Even couples earning $200,000 are being told they can only afford a unit 40 kilometres from work. That isn't a lifestyle complaint. It's the quiet collapse of the Australian dream.
I'm here. I don't know. People say, have a think about that. Think about maybe 20 years ago, if you would have earned the equivalent of $200,000 in today, you would have been able to basically live just about wherever you wanted. Gotten a mortgage and been able to get whatever you wanted. Now what? $200,000? What does that get you? Sweet FA. Inflation's just completely ruined the value of the dollar. That's why everyone's running to gold, and I won't get on that. It might be a topic for another video. Look at these queues for properties. I don't know why people would even do it. As I said, I think I touched on that video before where you saw about 150 people lining up the front of a house or an apartment in Bondi to rent it. Why would you even bother? I'll just do a drive-by. You wouldn't even get out of the car. Not doing that. I'm not lining up for 6 hours to get in and then not get the property.
Here at Albo's $4.5 million mansion. We've just driven down his $100 million road. We're here on behalf of 3.5 million other Australians who are struggling, who are in poverty, facing homelessness. All we want is to be heard. All we want is for the politicians to listen to us. Everybody deserves a home. Albo, if you're watching this, if you could go to costoflivingcasualties.com.au and just tell us your story. We'd love to hear it, and we'd love to pass it on to some of those politicians and just let them know how we're really struggling. And I just hope that we can make this country a better place to live.
Yeah, well, everyone voted for him. He was going to make the place cheaper. He was going to bring down your energy bills. We're going to attack cost of living, property. He was on everything. He said all of it. It's all the absolute opposite has happened. Anyone could have, even a blind person would have been able to tell you that this was going to happen. Oh, somehow he's in. I shook my head, you know, at the end of the day, the Liberals, they didn't do a good job of being competition. But there's no other competition for Labor at the moment, big parties. They're going to get in again. Labor will get in again. This is going to continue to be worse. And get worse. Oh, no, Elbows, you know, he grew up in the commission flats with his mum, his single mum, and he's one of us, one of us, one of us. He ain't one of you. He doesn't give two fucks about you. Don't you worry about that.
So what could help? First, stop juicing up demand. Tie any buyer assistance to real supply. One new home for every subsidised purchase. If that can't happen, then pause the schemes until construction catches up. Secondly, fix the taxes that trap people in the wrong homes. Stamp duty punishes moving and it rewards hoarding. Replace it with a broad land tax, phased in fairly, just like the ACT's model.
No, we don't want that. We don't want that because they'll end up being more. How about the grubby government get their hands off our assets, stop strangleholding people with all these taxes and charges, even local government with the rates, you know, up every single year by 10%. Get stuffed. It's the biggest money maker for all levels of government. Right? They should have their hands off our shit. You don't even own your house. If you don't have debt on your property, you try not paying your rates and see what happens. You'll be thrown out of your house, I'll tell you that much. The house that you own, the land that you own.
Third, build where people want to live, near transport, jobs and schools. Rezone for medium density around train lines and give developers serious build-to-rent incentives. Reserve social housing for key workers so cities can stay balanced. Fourth, rescue apartment supply. We need more medium-rise living, not endless outer suburbs. And link migration to housing supply. Australia should always be a migration nation, but numbers must match new dwellings. Even the government's own advice says
No, because they need to import more Labor voters and taxpayers. You know, they import people from various backgrounds, but a lot of those have been shown to become instant Labor voters. That's all it is. It's building a constituency. It's building and importing a support base for their government. Anyone who has any grievance with their life at this point in time, if you vote Labor, or even if you vote any of the majors, go One Nation at this point, or an independent. If you're voting the majors, you don't give a shit, more or less. That's my opinion. And I try not to be highly political. I don't care. That's what I'm saying. The majors aren't going to help you. They're all there for themselves. I'm going to leave it there because I'm ranting. So I thought I was going to get over another topic, but I'll make another video about the other stuff. We're only 33 minutes. I was in a mood today. All fired up. All right, guys, have a great Sunday and try and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Cheers.